Hey, the point is.
Point is.
The point is that the project is due today. The point is we don't have much time left to finish the project. So you're not saying a problem here, you're just kind of emphasizing that due date or that urgency. And of course, you've probably heard the phrase at the end of the day.
The end of the day?
And a lot of times English speakers just use this to kind of summarize everything, to kind of wrap up what they're talking about. And they don't even realize that they use it so much. If you listen to English speaking podcasts, you'll hear this all the time. At the end of the day, it's kind of like summarizing your thoughts or saying, I'm not going to ramble on too much about this. At the end of the day, this is all that matters. Now that we've talked about some phrases that English speakers just naturally use to clarify or help someone understand what they're saying, let's talk about some phrases that can help them add information on. A really great phrase to use is on top of that.
And on top of that,
so this phrase is commonly used in a conversation when you're talking about things not really going well or being kind of surprising. So you might be talking with your friend in a situation that had happened. It was really bad. Maybe someone was acting super rude and they're giving examples about how rude they were. They didn't say please or thank you. They were arguing, and you might say, yeah, and on top of that, and you have another point to add. So it's just kind of like agreeing with the person and adding more information. But again, it's not one of those phrases you'll hear in a textbook. It's really naturally added on top of that. Or maybe your kids were sick last week, and on top of that, you had a ton of work to get done. So it was just a really challenging week in general. When someone makes a point, you might have something that kind of goes against what they said or he kind of balances it out. Maybe, again, you're talking with that friend and they're saying, oh, this person was so rude. But you might say, that said, they've been having a really challenging week.
That said.
So you're kind of balancing out, like maybe that's why they weren't in a good mood or they weren't being so nice. That said, they've had a lot of going on lately. Maybe you're talking with your team at work and everyone's kind of complaining about, how they have so much work to do on a project. And you might say, yeah, that being said, I think we can get it done. We're really talented. We can get this stuff done. So you're balancing out everyone's complaints or you're kind of contrasting them, but you're not arguing with anyone. You're just saying, that said, we can do it. This next phrase is so funny because most people don't notice that they say this in conversation or when they're at work or with their friends. But when you want to kind of transition to the next topic of conversation or just be done with something, someone says something, then you feel like it's a good stopping point. You might say, well, on that note, we're going to move on.
On that note.
It's kind of like thinking like an orchestra playing a note. I'm not really sure exactly where this phrase comes, but we use it all the time to just mean like, okay, enough was said on that note, let's move on.